a podcast that inspires the present-day visionary to live their best life. Welcome, everyone. We are live to talk about the Virgo Sun and Rising pulse of the month. It is going to be an interesting month for many of you. And this is definitely going to be a month where many of you are going to be moving on. And that's what I'm seeing here. The pulse of the month has a lot to do with bonds to other people. This is where the new moon in Pisces is going to unfold for many of you. And this new moon is going to be in Pisces at 1 degree. It is happening in your seventh house, which represents relationship dynamics and represents bonds to other people or even kind of obligations to other people. It can sometimes also talk about any kind of business related, relationships, any relationships. Okay. Then that bond to that person and that relativity to that person is what is being highlighted. There is a new beginning in a sense, but this new beginning has a lot to do with you personally and how you actually view your faith or how you view your basically relationships and the things that you have faith in other people. All of that is shifting this month. And it is a big shift, even though, we have a new moon every single month. This one definitely signifies a big shift for many of you. And that's what I'm seeing. Let's pop up the chart and kind of show you a little bit what's happening. The pulse from March of 2023 is starting February 20th. That is when the new moon in Pisces is going to unfold. At the time of this new moon, this particular new moon is going to come into a square. Okay. There is a Mercury Uranus square that is happening. And there's also a Mercury Mars trine that's happening at the same time. Let's talk about the square with Mercury and Uranus first. That square between Mercury and Uranus is definitely going to be a time where you're going to start to identify the way in which you move through life, okay, and how that adds up to the bigger picture. Many of you are going to understand now maybe a little bit more about what blocks you actually from moving into velocity and gaining some speed. Okay, this has to do with velocity. This has to do with speed. This has to do with another layer of that. And we're going to dive into it a bit more as we're taking a look at the chart for the month of March of 2023 for you. Mercury here in the sixth house, your mind is on your routines. Your mind is on your lifestyle, the quality of your lifestyle, the way that you're doing things. And so you're going to be thinking a lot about the things that make you feel alive, where you feel like you're in the flow with stuff, where you feel like that, you can actually detach from things that are unnecessary and really attach yourself to the things that really make sense for you. But there's been a lot of disruption here. There's been a lot of disruption and a lot of sort of mindset beliefs that had to do with you feeling like you couldn't do these things because other people's way kind of got in the way of that or distracted you, or maybe you allowed for the distractions to happen because maybe a part of you felt like you were obligated to show up in relationships a particular way. And so now you are clearing this energy, or you get the opportunity to clear this energy. And how are you going to clear this energy? Well, there is going to be a trine that is forming at the time as well that will definitely start a new conversation for the month of March of 2023. And that is Mercury in the sixth house is going to form a trine to Mars, which has been in your 10th house, you guys, for now 7 months. Okay. Mars has been in Gemini since August of 2022. It's been in your house of career, in your house of legacy, and in the house of any kind of progress that you're trying to make out there in the world. So it's retrograded through this phase as well. And I believe that a lot of you have been taking a look at your energy output when it comes to your career. But let's dive a little bit more into it. What are some of the themes that you're going to be wrapping up here this month? Because Mars is going to move on into Cancer on the 19th of March. So from the 1st up until now, the 19th up until now. I say up until now. What I meant is until the 19th. I'm already, getting ready for this move to happen. So to the 19th, what is sort of wrapping up during this time? The last 6 to 7 months, you may have been taking a look at what do you actually want to achieve? What are some of the things that you're wanting to achieve? And this has come up because you are trying to figure out what you want to get done, how you want to get it done, and are you really going for it? This has been maybe a question that has come up, especially during the time of the retrograde. Are you doing things the way that you want to? Perhaps there have been some challenges that you're discovering in your career more than you ever have because you've had 7 months to take a look at this, okay? Looking at why you're not going for the things that you really want has maybe come up here as well. For many of you, I see that at some level you have been sort of troubleshooting through why you are not going for things, why it's not so easy for you to go for that in your career, and what's the holdup. Well, the challenges are tying into other people. Mars does well in the 10th house, but Mars can also bring out a part of you that realizes that you are really good at your craft. Like you're really good at what it is that you're doing. But because you're so good at what it is that you're doing, this can now cause some competition or at some level, in a way, a reaction that you cannot control by people where they feel threatened, but because you're so keenly aware of that, that could have been a blockage that you discovered during this last 6 to 7 months. That's what I believe that Mars in Gemini transit really, brings forth here. It's Gemini, it's the way in which you're thinking, but also it's you and also just something else that you also are trying to connect to. And a lot of times this can have to do with other people. All right. So freeing yourself from this kind of an energy, taking a look at it, and maybe even not knowing that you wanted to or needed to free yourself from this kind of an energy or this kind of a mindset could have come up during this time. And that's been sort of the dance for you for the last, 6 to 7 months. Now, other people, why do they feel, threatened? Because maybe of the way in which you put your efforts through. Maybe there is more efficiency, maybe there's more velocity. There could be so many different things that factor into this, but becoming aware of this and becoming aware of what makes you feel uncomfortable about that could have come up during this time. And I do believe that for many of you, I actually have some clients that have Virgo, risings that have been going through this type of energy in their career. They're being sort of held back because they feel like they don't want to be in that uncomfortable space, but it is sort of necessary to unblock so that you can put your efforts through, and you got to move through that. And that is what's being highlighted this month as well, because that new moon in Pisces is highlighting important relationships that do actually support you, that give you sort of that support, the backing, the bond that you need, the relativity that you need, the connection that you need in order for you to progress sort of in a way where it really lets you flow. It lets you be in velocity, lets you be in that kind of a speed that you want to be in. And it, really achieving anything that you're putting your mind into. Okay. So that could be something that many of you could have been looking at the very least. Mars and Gemini here brings up sort of a lot of conversation about how you apply your effort out there in the world. It is a busy time. Okay. Anytime Mars moves through the 10th house, which is a very, open house, it's not a very personal house. This is going to be a time where you're going to be just incredibly busy with ideas or things that need to get done. But there's a lot of sort of connecting the dots, trying to figure out, how to bring certain ambitions and achievements into the picture, how to really complete them, how to progress them. These are the types of things that I believe that you are going to be now finalizing this month. What do I believe overall does this month have to do for many of you is really learning about your efforts, learning about where you hold yourself back, where you maybe are slow to take action because you are wanting to take somebody else's reaction into consideration. And do you have to do that, right? These are the types of things. There's a renewal and a new outlook that I believe that is the potential for this month, if you are a Virgo sun or rising, that you don't have to hold yourself back, that the people who do have this sort of dynamic with you where you feel that, now they're going to be in a competition or they feel threatened or whatever, there is sort of a moment that you can be aware of it, but can you move on from that? Can you allow for yourself to be different and really stick to your ideas? Because you know that in the long run, this is something that is totally worth your time, totally worth something that you would be able to dive into, that is going to bring great progress or great results for you in your career, and also potentially has really many positive impacts where you hold yourself back, learning that, accepting that. I believe by the time that this particular, new moon transit is coming back around, making room for this uncomfortable feeling and identifying it and accepting it is going to be huge. So, in a sense, this is a really big month because a lot of you will maybe find that, release of this kind of, mindset, anything that kind of holds you back or any kind of setbacks, learning from them, understanding how to begin again when you allow for yourself to kind of fall into that kind of a trap, and then defending what it is that you are wanting to do, standing your ground, standing up for yourself, right? These are the types of things that I believe that this month overall is going to be all about for many of you out there. I do want to wrap up with a very important transit that is going to be happening. And that is when Mars is coming into that last sort of big communication with the sun. The sun, again, is going to be for you in your relationship house. And it's going to form a square to Mars in your career house. And that is going to happen in the week of, March 15th through the 17th. That's when it's coming exact at 26 degrees. This is a big influence of overcoming, of completing, an upswing in energy. This is a moment and an opportunity for you to firmly stand your ground and to make things happen, to fight for your achievements, to make, things happen in a way where you don't have to maybe give agreement, because the sun is transiting through your seventh house of agreements. This is an agreement house. This is a house where you give agreement to somebody else. The kinds of agreements that you give, then what kind of impacts do they have on you? Where does tension build up? That is what you need to identify here, and maybe standing up for yourself. And finally, also clearing the air with some important relationship dynamics where you feel like you have to let that person know in a more clear fashion what's really on your mind. And you got to deal with this situation in a way where you may have thought it's a very big thing, but then once you deal with it, you start to realize that maybe it's been a lot about you and how you've been viewing it, and you maybe not even wanting to hurt somebody else's feelings. But this is a time where you have to sort of go explore what it's like for you to, speak up and stand up for this thing. Not that you don't do that, but there might be a situation here where you just really need to address it and overcome it and make things happen, where you might even want to collaborate with people where you have not been able to say that before. This is a very important time. So anything you want to get done during this week, a big, A plus 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 plus, you can get this done. There's a lot of progress that can come out of it. And as a result, I do believe that you are maybe in a space by the end of this month where you're starting to clarify for yourself where you let tension build up and then hold yourself back, and you're not able to move forward with speed or velocity or the kind of speed that you really like, things to be in your life. So I believe that this is sort of the big energy for many of you out there. I would love to hear from you on how things are unfolding for you in your life. Leave me a comment below. If you're here for the first time and you this kind of, vibe as far as the astrology and predictions, I would love for you to hang out, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys back here in the next episode. Bye.